Hi everybody, this is Rich of the Rich Maxwell channel. Welcome back to my channel. Today going to be doing something a bit different. This video is a review of the Tamron 28 to 75mm lens. Recently picked this up. It's a beautiful lens, so I thought I'd talk about it on the channel. And had some feedback recently on my new channel trailer that my background here is ugly as sin, my lighting's crap, and that my focusing and exposure's all off and things. So I'm taking that on board. It's obviously quite harsh, but maybe honest criticism, and I'm going to try this video in a different room of the house today. It's usually the case that I film all my videos in my conservatory here, but it's really noisy here in England today because we've got a big storm, so there's loads of rain clattering off the roof of my conservatory. So it's a perfect time for me to try a different scene and see if that does the trick and gets me 10,000 subscribers on here. So over to the other scene now. So, in a different scene of the house now. Hope you like this new setting and backdrop. So, gonna talk through the 28 to 75mm Tamron lens that I recently picked up. And so, yeah, so the 28 to 75, I picked this up to replace my kit lens that I got with the A7 II. The A7 II kit lens I found surprisingly good actually. It was pretty sharp and generally I was really happy with it. But I wanted to get the lower aperture, the 2.8mm f-stop, so I could get a nicer, more blurred out background when I'm doing portraits and avoid having to switch to a prime lens so often. So that's why I picked it up. And 28 to 75 is a nice all-round focal length that I could probably take 90% of my images on. So I thought it's going to be a really good lens to invest in. It's one of the more expensive lenses that I've bought, and comparing it though to other lenses that are the similar sorts of focal lengths and 2.8 f-stop, it's actually a bargain. The G Master is about 3 times the price from Sony, and then there's the Sigma lens, which I think was around about £400 more here in the UK when I bought this. I bought it as a grey import from E-Infinity, so I got a good deal on it. But in the UK, typically this is £750, and I think the Sigma is about £1,100. But the Sigma is out of stock everywhere, so that also limited my options to this really, to get a nice lens. I had previously tried an adapted lens, a Canon 24 to 105 f4, but didn't really find that gave me much extra really above the kit lens in terms of the ability to take nice photos, and also the video autofocus wouldn't work with the adapted Canon lens. So that's why I've made the jump over to the 28 to 75. So in this video, talking firstly about the build quality of it. It's an all plastic lens, so you may or may not like that, but that's what it is. Makes it nice and lightweight, so that's pretty good when you're taking it traveling with you. And although it's all plastic, it feels really well built. The focus rings are nice and smooth and sort of buffered, and the rear of the lens, the mount, has a nice weather seal, so it seals nicely onto the camera, which is great for these mirrorless cameras, as that can potentially help you stop getting that dust into your camera sensor. So that's really good about it. And it comes with the lens hood and obviously front and rear lens caps. Lens hood seems nice sliding motion, seems well built, goes on and off really easily, so that's good. Size wise, it's just the right size really. It's quite a long lens, but doesn't sort of throw the A7 II off balance at all. And on the A7 II, sometimes if you have a really wide sort of fatter lens, then you can struggle to get your fingers into around the grip on the A7 II and A7 III cameras. So that's really good about it. It's quite slim, so you can still get your cameras in around the grip of your camera. So overall, really nice build quality. Really happy with that. But the main thing we want to know about is the image quality you can get from this lens. In terms of focusing, my experience with it is that it's as good as a native lens. No issues at all with the focusing, so really pleased on that front. But I'm going to go on to the computer next and talk through some images for you. So this is the brick wall test, so we're just talking about a few images of a brick wall, just to show you the sharpness. Brick walls are quite textured, so you can get a good idea of sharpness in the corners and centre of the lens. So over to the computer now then. Okay, so here are some test shots from the Tamron 28 to 75mm, as I say, of a brick wall. So we're going to go through the whole zoom range and the whole aperture range and check out the centre and corner sharpness. So as you can see, we've got the information in the top left corner there about what focal length it was taken at and what f-stop it was taken at. If you just look where I'm looking with my mouse cursor there. So this is 28mm f2.8. So centre sharpness there. Let's zoom in further. Looks really good. That looks very sharp indeed. That's as sharp as many prime lenses. And now corner sharpness looks pretty good still. a little bit softer. Now going up to f4, center sharpness even sharper. That's very crisp indeed. Corner sharpness there, not bad. Slightly soft, but still very good image. And at f5.6, 28mm, the center there looks really sharp indeed, and the corner very sharp as well. So really good image quality from the lens at f5.6 indeed, and that's at its shortest focal length, 28mm. Sometimes at the extremes, the 28 or the 75, you'd expect to have a slightly softer image with any lens really, but it looks really sharp from this one, so that's really good. Here's f8 in the center, that looks very sharp. Corner sharpness there looks good. Looks very good in that corner. This corner looked a little bit off, maybe there was a bit of shake on my tripod or something, I'm not sure, but certainly looks sharper in that corner for some reason. Let's check the other corners. Not bad, and that's very sharp there. So maybe at the bottom of the frame it's slightly softer. Very strange that. Now we'll go up to f11. So f11 you'd expect to be really sharp. It's kind of the mid aperture range. So yeah, looks really sharp. And yeah, the bottom corners now look even sharper as well, so really good there. Obviously the main thing that we want sharp is the center, and that is crisp sharp throughout all of these apertures really. Now going into f16, so looking good on the corner. Yeah, that's sharp. Center, very sharp again. So I don't know what more to say about this lens, it's just sharp all over, pretty much all the time. So no complaints really. At f16 now, center looks good as well. Yeah, corners all sharp as well. So as you can see, we do get a bit of a kind of a pin cushion effect distortion to the image, so the lines slightly bend at all of the shots taken at 28mm, which is kind of to be expected at a very wide angle. And that's just another f16 image. Now f22, you'd expect the extremes, like the real small apertures like f22, to be a bit softer, but no, it looks really good indeed. So great all throughout the 28mm shots. Now we're going up to 50mm f2.8. Wow, that's incredibly sharp in the center. Let's take another look at that. That is crisp indeed. So this is more of the mid-range of its zoom abilities. The corners there slightly softer, but that is really going into the extreme corner. Here we're just slightly going inwards, and it looks sharp. So maybe just the extreme corners are a little bit soft, but no, it looks a really good image there. So that's perfectly usable for any portrait shots at 50mm. And then going into f4, the corners looking even better. And yeah, as before, center extremely sharp, so that's really good. Now we're going into f7.1. Yeah, crisp sharp. Really sharp on the corners. Not as sharp as the center, but very usable, very sharp. The bottom of the image, I've just had a thought, might be slightly softer because of the lighting. Maybe the top half of the image had a bit more light. That could be the reason why it's looking sharper at the top. So we're going up to f10 here. So f10 looks very sharp in the corners. Really nice. So f10 might be an aperture that you'd use when you're doing landscape photos. So that's really good to have nice corner sharpness at f10, and yeah, center as always crisp and very sharp indeed. So f14, and again sharp all over, really good, nice. And what's interesting, 50mm, we seem to have lost all the distortion. It looks nice. Straight line, so it doesn't look like it's distorting the image too much. That's really good. And then finally f22, maybe slightly softer, but you'd expect that when you're at the extreme apertures, like the really small apertures or the really wide apertures. Now we're going to 75mm, so that's its maximum zoom range, and starting off here at f22, so we're going backwards this time. We're starting at a really small aperture and going down to the f2.8. I think I just did it that way because it was easier to do in my camera at the time, as I was already at the f22, so working back down just seemed a bit more straightforward. So f22, nice, sharp,
really good. We can see there's not too much distortion, maybe a tiny bit, but have I got any kind of lens correction on? Let's just double check. No lens correction, but you can enable it and then it soon sorts it out. So there it is corrected. So there's a slight bit of distortion in the image at f75, but not much at all. f16, yeah, it's slightly softer, as you can see, at the 75mm range than it was at the 50, and as I said, that is kind of to be expected. But look at that, we go from the f11 and then on to f8. f8 looks really sharp. It looks like f16 was a little soft, but yeah, f11, it goes much sharper. You can see there the differences in the center and then edges. Very slightly soft, but not too bad at all. Very usable. f6.3, wow, that's razor sharp indeed. Really good sharp image there. Corners getting a bit softer, not bad though. I'm not too concerned about corner sharpness. Mainly when I take photos, I'm concerned about getting a really sharp image in the center, or slightly off to the center maybe. When I'm doing an image where I'm framing it by the rule of thirds, I'll be looking around here at the sharpness, so looks good. So that's f4 now. And now finally f2.8, its maximum aperture, and this is 75mm. So this might be a focal length that you'd use for portraits, so it's important that this is right and nice and sharp in the center, and I would say that looks pretty sharp to me, so I'm happy with that. Centers, as expected, slightly softer, but let's compare that center sharpness with, say, the f8, but f8's set on the corner at the moment, but yeah, that's the center of f8 versus center of f2.8. 11. There's my f8 image. f8, then same zoom at f2.8. There's not a lot of difference. That's really sharp at f2.8. That's surprisingly sharp actually. It looks great. For a zoom lens, you'd expect it to be slightly soft at the wide aperture, but not in this case. Really nice sharp image. Really pleased with that. So now it's yeah, back to me talking and going over my thoughts and summary on the lens. So I hope that's been useful.
So hopefully that was interesting, seeing the brick wall test there on the computer. I'm going to throw up a few images as well that I've recently taken with the lens, and a few little clips here from Sutton Park, my local sort of woodland area where I often go to get some landscape photos and just practice photography really. But yeah, shot a bit of video with this lens and the A7 II recently. Conscious the A7 II is not the best performer in video though, and I think that's maybe why some of my YouTube videos haven't looked as sharp and looked as good as I'd hoped for. Maybe I was getting that sort of negative feedback on them for that reason. So yeah, so the video clips I've got here, they were shot on the A7 II and then color graded up, and so with this lens it looks pretty good. But the A7 II isn't the fastest at focusing in video, so on an A7 III or even a crop censored camera like a 6300, you'll probably get much faster focusing on this lens in video modes. And so yeah, I don't think it'll disappoint. I think it's a fantastic lens, and it's probably the best option really if you want to replace your kit lens and get a nice lens that's got a low f-stop throughout the range. And really sharp as well. It's sharp at 28 as you saw, and sharp at 75, so it's a brilliant lens all round. And this could easily replace probably 3 prime lenses in your bag, so the cost of 3 prime lenses like 50, 35 and an 85 would be much more than buying this. So at its price point, it's superb value. Highly recommend this lens. So hope that's been interesting for you. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and watching out for more videos. I'm putting out 2 videos a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays, about drones and photography. So join me again soon. Have a great day everyone. Bye for now. Oh, I forgot to say guys, please let me know what you think of this new scene and whether you hated the previous background and whether I should stick with shooting my YouTube videos in my spare room now. Any feedback, much appreciated. So yeah, bye for now everyone, have a great day.